Could you introduce yourself?
My name is Umi, and I'm from Florida, and I've lived in Japan for 2 years.
What brought you to Japan?
I wanted to study Japanese, and since I was a kid, I've always wanted to live here.
What's it like being black in Japan?
So it's different from being a foreigner. Those are two different things. Technically, yeah, they're the same, but also different. Being black, I would say, has its difficulties. Like, I get stereotyped a lot, actually, in Japan. So with my job, I work with kids, and so when I first meet them, they cry because of my skin tone. I get a lot of derogatory terms sometimes with Japanese people, like they've called me like a monkey. I've been called the N word a few times here, but also it's been really good too. So, like, because I'm black, I stand out a lot. And so people come to me more usually than most. So, like, if I'm with my friends who are, like, well, let's say white, Japanese people will come to me first because I look more different, I guess. Maybe because I dress pretty Japanese. So,
Is there any pros and cons like being black in Japan?
yeah. Okay. So the cons are, of course, people will stare at me a lot, but I'm pretty used to that. Stare at me, so some of this discrimination. But the pros are, so if I apply for a job, there's not a lot of black people usually that apply for jobs, so I'll get picked more often than not because they want something new, something fresh. Yeah.
All right. Is there anything that you want to share your experience in Japan, like being black?
Oh, yeah. So I guess being black in Japan, I use dating apps sometimes to talk to guys. And a lot of people there will say, like, oh, I've never talked to a black person before. So usually I'm the first black person that I've gone on a date with a Japanese guy. For the most part, it's pretty nice. And I would say, like, there's a group of like Nigerians that live in like Harajuku and Shibuya and stuff. And usually, if there's like some trouble or some guy trying to talk to me, they will step in and help me because I'm black too. So they will, we try to have each other's backs. Yeah. Also, because I'm black and I live in Japan, a lot of Japanese people assume that I can't speak Japanese, or they assume that I'm from Africa, or if I tell them that I'm American, then they get surprised because I think a lot of Japanese stereotypes towards African American women are is that everyone is pretty heavy set, fat. So that's a big stereotype here with being black in Japan. And yeah, like I said, they assume I can't speak Japanese. So when I do speak Japanese, they get really surprised. So because I think they assume like me and my friends are together. She's white, I'm black. They assume she can speak Japanese and I can't. So that happens quite a lot. And usually it's opposite. They can't speak Japanese, but I can. So, yeah.
I see. That's interesting. Okay, thank you. Do you see yourself in Japan in the future?
Yes, I plan to live here as long as I can. I want to try to live here forever. Hope that's my plan because I really love living here, even though Japan has its pros and cons everywhere around the world, has its pros and cons. So I think, like, as an African American woman, as a black woman, no matter where I go, I'll always get discriminated against for being black. So I might as well choose the place that makes me happy.
Okay, so she's right. Being a foreigner and being a black person is totally different in Japan. They see you as an outsider first, then it's your skin color. And most of the time, it's out of curiosity. So I've been in Japan before. I've been there for a week, and I can remember when I was walking to the corner store away from my hotel, I was walking past a small elementary school, and the kids see me, and they was excited. They started shouting, "Kukojin, Kukojin." They ran up to the fence. They was really happy to see a black person. And I generally felt that it was from excitement and a curiosity and not just any type of prejudice or any negative outcome like that. By the way, Kukujin means black person. And another time I was on a train station. I was going to a different part in Tokyo, and there was an elderly couple sitting right next to me, and I speak a little bit of Japanese. And during that time, they didn't know I could understand what they were saying, but the elderly man was looking at his wife. He pointed at me and he was smiling, saying, "Kukujin, Kukogen. And I could tell he was just happy to see that it was a black person or as a foreigner. You have to keep this in mind. Most of the people don't see foreigners for a while throughout their times of living in Japan. So she obviously had bad experiences. I only been in Japan for a week, so she said that at her work she's been called monkey and the N-word. And I've been hearing a lot of things about the Japanese work environment. I would not recommend anybody to go to Japan to try to make a living in Japan. It's a great country to visit, great place to maybe retire, awesome place to sightsee and just adventure and explore. But horrible place to make a living, horrible place to make a work. There's been a lot of cases, a lot of things about the Japanese work environment. Also, there's another video that I had made about a girl living in Japan as a teacher. She's teaching English in Japan, and she has similar experiences as this one here. You can click the link as soon as it appears in the video. It should be somewhere up here. Check it out. You won't be disappointed. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. She tells it exactly the way it is. You have to respect people like that because they are giving a lot of transparency for a lot of people like us. On another note, she said it's easier for people like us and for black people to get a job in Japan. Whether you see that as a pro or not, it's up to you. You can take it how it is. But there is a big black community out there, especially with the Nigerians, especially with the Africans. I can remember, and I was living in the Sugamo, Toshima area in Tokyo, northern Tokyo area. And I met a whole bunch of Nigerians there that actually was owners of restaurants and bars. So I can't vouch for her about the community there. There's a lot of black people there and they do stick with each other. They do look out for each other. So if you decided to go to Japan, these are some things to consider. But let's go ahead and check out the next one. Let's see what he got to say.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Yeah, could you introduce your background?
So my name is Christopher Holman. I'm from America, the United States. I'm Jamaican and Haitian for my nationality. I was raised in like the suburb area of like Long Island, if you know where that's at. And I'm studying abroad here in Japan I've been here for a few months, 2 months so far. So I'll be here for another month or so.
All right, how do you like it here so far?
I like it a lot here so far. It's a beautiful city, a lot of things to see, a lot of great sights. The culture here is it's fun. Like people are super nice. They go into izakayas and drinking. It's amazing. The food here is great, and there's just a lot of things to do and a lot of opportunity, which I haven't tapped into yet. But like you can just see it around the place. There's so many things to do.
All right, so what's it like being black in Japan?
I think it's a bit overwhelming at first, to be completely honest, because like coming from America, specifically being from the Philly part, it's like a whole different culture and experience, and you have to sort of like relearn how to navigate that. I think sometimes people are staring and stuff, and like people getting like not weird, lots of people looking at you. It is a bit like it caught me off guard a little bit. That in itself, it's its own experience. But like besides that, I think like personally, I've been saying to myself a lot, so trying to avoid all that. So it's not the worst experience, but I think like if I was here any longer than a few months, it'd definitely be something I have to really learn how to navigate and get used to.
Is there any like negative thing that you didn't expect in Japan?
I think the negative thing I didn't expect was like sometimes people can be a bit standoffish here and like cold and reserved, and like that's never a problem because like you live your own life, of course. But like for my personality, it is like I'm used to like talking to everybody and like wanting to connect to people, and like you feel like you can't really have that too much over here, at least what I experienced so far.
Is there any pros and cons being black in Japan?
I think pros is that like, you know, you just can be in your own world. No one's really bothering me in terms of like physically bothering me, and like I can just live my own life, and I guess that's a really nice part. The girls and men here are super like receptive of me and like can be understanding in times if they see I don't speak English, like, you know, try to work with me and stuff. But like I think the cons are like it is just like it's hard to relate to other people and like other experiences because like my experience is so like it's its own thing, so it's difficult to actually connect with people on that.
There are a lot of Japanese people who has dreads.
Yeah.
What do you think about it? What can I ask?
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't ever think it's my place or someone's place to, like, you know, yell at somebody for it, get mad at somebody about their own life. But, like, I do think it's a bit strange just because dreadlocks do have a bit of a religious significance. Japan has its own, like, culture and things that they can add into their own life. It's important to at least know what they mean or present if you're going to be wearing dreads. So it's, like, it's never, like, a big problem or something to, like, get mad at. But, like, it is, like, a bit like a, that's weird.
So Japan is actually one of my favorite countries, but to live, it is not one of my top picks. I would like to say that depending on your personality, because if you're an introverted person, then you will probably fit in because a lot of the Japanese people are very conservative. They keep to themselves. They really mind their business, and they really do not go out their way to make friends or break any type of ice. So if you're an outgoing person, you would have a tougher time to make connections in Japan. You would have to maybe venture out to events, go to clubs, bars, restaurants, things like that, to where you can meet other outgoing people. You can use like dating online websites, any type of social media websites to kind of find out and venture for your type of people. But generally in Japan, everyone is kind of kept to themselves. So that right there, he's right on that, and I can't vouch for that. So there is a group, and I forgot the name, but there is a group in Japan that has a lot of Japanese people who express themselves in black and hip hop culture. They wear dreads, the girls wore braids. I mean, they wear baggy clothes. I think that's just an appreciation for the culture. I really don't think those people are trying to. I really don't think some people are trying to do it to just try to make a fashion sense. Because I had seen it out there, and they really talk. They live it. They live it. They really live it. Because I had ran into a couple of people out there like that in Japan. And it's not just in Japan. It's all across Asia. I mean, I really had seen it in China, Vietnam, and Thailand. You can see I'm here with this guy right here who has dreads in Thailand. He was real cool. He was real cool. Knew all the hip hop, knew the rappers. He really knew the hip hop culture. It wasn't just a show or for fashion. So I could probably disagree with him a little bit there. But like you said, who are you to tell someone who and what they can do or not appreciate? So let's go ahead and check out the last one right now.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Darion. I'm from America, and I'm particularly from Louisiana, like the central Louisiana. Yeah.
All right. So how long have you been in Japan?
I've only been in Japan for a week so far, but I did go last year for 1 month, a part of the school program here.
All right. So how long will you be staying in Japan?
I'll be staying in Japan for 1 year.
What's it like, being black in Japan?
Okay, that's a really good question. I feel like when it comes to being black in Japan, it's no different from being maybe like another color. Now, just in the Asian countries, white is favored more, merely because that's just how it's been for a long time. The color white is favored, not necessarily the character of the person, but just the appearance. Like if a Japanese person sees a white guy and he's like mildly attractive, it's like, oh, that guy is like cool, he's super cool, he's white or whatever. But that's not as common, I think, nowadays. I feel like it's more so whenever you come here, you're a foreigner. You're not black necessarily, you're not white necessarily, you're a foreigner. And it's only a few Japanese people that might look at you as color. For example, there's a lot of Japanese girls that like gyaru, and a lot of them really like hip hop culture. I'm just using Japanese.
You mean gyaru?
Gyaru,
yeah.
however you say it.
All right, yeah.
Gyaru.
Gyaru, right? Yeah.
Gyaru.
Yeah.
I'm only using Japanese girls for example, but it's also guys too that are
Yeah,
also
I
like hip hop. So a lot of girls that are into that, they like hip hop and whatnot. So when they see a black guy, it might be more of a like a spectacle to them, right? That's the only case where race might play a part. But for the most part, in Japan, it's mostly just like, oh, you're a foreigner, right? Instead of just like, oh, you're black, you're white, you're Mexican, right? So when it comes to relationships here, you have to be very, very, I guess, particular with what you might say and how you might convey something.
Okay, let's say you're dating a Japanese girl. Like, is there any problem? Could be like language, could be like culture difference, or like whatever.
Ooh, good question. So one problem could be a case of being fetishized because of the race. The one problem can be they just see you as a novelty, right? And I've seen this in many interviews with foreigners on Japan. It's like if you're like black or whatever, it's like a novelty, right? So they might not completely like you for you. Oh, I'll tell you an experience I did have. I was talking to a Japanese girl online, and we talked for a very long time. I don't know if she's Manhattan, I'm not sure, but she was a little bit crazy. But we were talking, and she was very sweet and whatnot. But she would have these weird moments where she would get like really drunk and whatnot or whatever, and then she would like block me. And she would just block me, right? And it seemed like she liked me, but she kept blocking me, and then she just blocked me altogether. So I don't think she necessarily liked me personally. It was kind of just like, oh, this is a black guy, it's a spectacle. Let me talk to him for a little bit or whatever, and then move on, right? And I've heard a lot of other people talk about that same experience where it'll seem like someone's into them, and then it's kind of just like they kind of distance off once they get their fix of a foreigner, you know. So, but it's not with every Japanese. I'm not gonna say that, but it's some of them are like that, especially counting like what their niche is, you know. So.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
So in conclusion, if you're planning to go to Japan, I hope you got something for this video. Their experiences will not typically be your experiences. Everyone had different experiences. I can vouch for that. I've been to Japan, out there in Tokyo for a week. I've got the experiences. I talked with the locals. I interacted with people. So don't let that deter you from moving to Japan. If you like to go there, go see Japan. All right, guys, subscribe, like, follow for more videos like this. On to the next one. Peace.